And now for a hardware overview of the IBM IntelliStation E Pro, which it's not going to focus on. I'm not quite sure why, because there's more than enough light for it. Oh well. Could be in manual focus mode. I don't think it is, though. I forgot to show off the hardware in both of the videos that I did of this already, so we're going to do that now. For those of you who are just tuning in, this system was picked up, actually it wasn't picked up directly by me, it was picked up by Russ ACB, who found it in the thrift store, took a photograph of it, shared it with everybody, and piqued my interest, because, well, I've been looking for one of these for a very long time. Actually, I've been looking for the tower version of this. I haven't been specifically looking for the desktop, but the desktop one is certainly cool to have, and if it's the only thing I can get, well, it'll be the only thing that I can get. I will certainly settle for it, because, well, it's an IBM. You can get a closer look at it. Maybe it'll focus on that. See the design. I still need to clean off all the dust that's on it, but that should be no matter. There's not really much on the front, other than a Pentium 2 sticker over there. And of course the type model and all of that. This thing is not focusing today. I wonder what the problem is. Where's manual focus? Where's that switch? There it is. Oh, I think I know why. It's because it's outside of its focusing range. Here we can see it. Pentium 2 logo, and then there's a type number there, CD-ROM drive up there. I think this has got 2 blanking plates. It's got another one down here, so you can put another CD-ROM drive in there if you really wanted to. There's an honest-to-goodness floppy diskette drive, and of course the IBM logo, and all of that. Power switch. Not really much on the front. Unlike most systems, which usually have got, you know, front panel audio connections at the least, and in modern times they've got USB ports, maybe FireWire. But of course this predates all of that, and it's a business machine, so you can't really expect much of that anyways. There's also a fan vent right up there. That's what that is. Right, there is the power supply and its associated fan. With the switch, you go from 115 to 230. I believe it is, yes. Of course, obviously I live in North America, so I'm going to leave it at 115. I need to put a slot blank in there, because I'm not sure I'm going to be putting that card back in place. But there's 4 slots. There's our audio connections. Microphone, line in and line out. No speaker connection. Or no unamplified speaker connection. Ethernet, parallel port, 2 USB ports, 2 serial ports, which is not something you'll generally find anymore, and PS2 ports. There's the case lock up there. Fortunately, it's in the locked position because I didn't get the keys with this system, which is rather interesting. And then there is the VGA slot, which is actually an AGP card. That's add-on. It's just a proprietary little connection thing on it. It doesn't have the slot blank. It doesn't have the slot thing. Alright. So, this isn't exactly the most closed thing in the world. This is up a little bit, so I'll have to fix that when I go to open it. But it is a toolless case, at least mostly. Well, not really. You don't need tools to open up the case, and you don't need tools to take out the PCI expansion cards, but you do need tools to do pretty much anything else. And I'm going to need 2 hands to get this case off, so I'll come back in a second with the case off. Alright, just took care of 2 problems. Put a slot blank in place, and it turns out there actually are screws for those slots. I didn't even notice that. And I also put this back. There's a little metal plate. It's not in there as nice as it would have been from the factory, but it's kind of bent up, so that's about as good as I'm going to get it. But anyways, now we can look inside the system. We can see the magic within. Before I look at that, we can look at this, which is a showing of basically just an overview of the planar board, or motherboard, I guess. You can see all of that. There's a rocker switch here. This is a set of dip switches. There's a CMOS clear jumper there. And then there's a memory table and CPU switch settings. And this is what we're going to take a look at. This is most important. So we can see that what we've actually got in here, and if I can get a light that will actually shine on the situation in a manner that is useful. Take a look at these dip switches. Come on, you useless light. You might be able to see that, well, maybe not quite, that we've got an off-on pattern on the first four, and then all the rest are off. What that means is that the ROM recovery is off, Ethernet disable is off, PAP enable is off, diskette write protect is off. So I may need to change some of these. That might be interesting. I might have to look into that, see if that might solve some of the issues that the system has. But I'd imagine that they're all supposed to be off by default. But the CPU speed select is set for off, on, which means that we've got a 100 MHz front side bus setting and a 450 MHz CPU clock setting. I don't know if that's actually a 450 MHz CPU, but if it is, well, that's pretty damn sweet. One of the fastest CPU, actually that is the fastest CPU you can put in one of these. So that's pretty nice. Must have put this one as one of the latest ones that was built. But anyways, other than that, there's not really much to see on the board here. Got a couple Intel chips. There's a crystal chip there, that's for the audio. Looks like there was some artifacting for some onboard video that this doesn't have. Anything else that's interesting to point out? I don't see the timekeeper. That must be a digital to analog converter for the sound. There's an SMSC chip back there, maybe for an onboard modem. Probably for an onboard modem, because that looks like some kind of a line converter there. There's a CMOS battery, and it looks like it is actually socketed, so that's nice. It's not soldered in like some of those CR2032 batteries were. Got 3 RAM slots, populated with one 128 megabyte module. Might need to add more RAM to this, but I don't really know. Might add more RAM to it anyways. This right here, this video card, is actually a Matrox Millennium G200, which is pretty nice. Not much on 3D, but certainly decent enough for 2D. Well, unparalleled for 2D, basically. Here's the floppy diskette drive. What is this? I saw a model on it, and I don't know where it is. See, IBM... Oh, Alps Electric. There we go, at the end. It's not like the PS2s where it's powered from the floppy line, or the floppy connectors, so that's good. It's got one parallel ATA channel and one of the... actually, it's a secondary parallel ATA channel and the floppy connector on that side of this riser card. And on the other side is the primary ATA channel, which has the hard drive plugged into it. You won't be able to see the hard drive from here, but the hard drive is a Quantum Failball 1080 AT, just something I had sitting in my parts bin, because obviously it wasn't having any of the SCSI drive. We can see, on the riser card, we can see that we've got 3 PCI slots and 2 ISA slots. Now this is interesting, something definitely a relic of the past. This thing's got AGP, PCI, and ISA. That's pretty universal. But these 2 slots here, this one and this one, are actually sharing one slot, so you can only use one of them at the same time. That was a very popular thing to do with these desktop form factor cases, where you wanted to fit multiple slots and you wanted to give the user more expandability, but you just didn't have the space on the case. So that's how they did it. The CD-ROM drive is a Sanyo. I've never seen a Sanyo CD-ROM drive before. At least not to my recollection, anyways. And here's the power supply. It's a Delta Electric. I'm used to seeing ACBAL power supplies and IBM stuff, but here it is, Delta power supply that is 100 watts maximum. When is the last time you saw a 100 watt power supply? This thing appears to be completely ATX compatible, although the system board is certainly not ATX at all. Maybe not totally ATX compatible. It's the same size connector. I think it's a 20-pin connector. But I don't see any of the proprietary, you know, that 4-pin connector that, or actually no, it was an 8-pin connector that looked more like Baby AT that some systems also had. I know Sun workstations usually had that on them. Alright, and other things that are relics of the past here. I see a CD audio connector right there. That's definitely a relic of the past. And this thing right here that's plugged into the front is actually a wireless RFID chip that's on the front. And what that is for asset tracking, which was a big deal, and still is a big deal in business environments. That was primarily what it was used for. I see we've got 3 lights on the front here. I'm not sure what the third one is used for, but it's not brought out on the case as far as I know. Oh no, it is. There it is. It's an Ethernet activity light. Didn't even notice that. Alright, so that's pretty much it for a hardware overview of this IBM IntelliStation E Pro. I'm going to replace the CMOS battery. I'm going to fire it up. I'm going to test it out, make sure the CMOS battery is still good. Or make sure that the CMOS battery actually holds its settings now. And, well, you don't really need to see all of that, so I'm going to cut the video off here. This was just a hardware overview. So, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. Hope to see you next time. Till then, the one thing I forgot to point out is this is the key lock. It's nothing more than a simple latch that pops up and holds onto the case. I don't know where the actual latch for it is. It might be right here. And I think it's this little kind of plastic thing here. So it's not really much to break into one of these if you have to. Well, here's an interesting development. I replaced the CMOS battery, and now all of a sudden the Ethernet and the SCSI card are working. That's very interesting. You can see it registering there. Well, if the camera would focus. That's odd. Alright, well, I want to see what's on that SCSI drive. It's probably going to want to install a driver. Or not. So we'll see if that drive actually has anything on it that's recognizable by Windows. Oops. Okay, what have we got? Yeah, Pent2D. What's on here? Stub installer. Blah, blah, blah. It looks like there is a functional version of Windows on that disk. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I can find my boot floppy that I was using earlier. See if I can find that and then try and boot from that drive and see if there is a working Windows installation on it. Okay, we're booting from the boot floppy. HDA partition 1 should be the primary ATA hard drive. We'll go for HDB partition 1, should be the SCSI drive. And it is, and look at that, it's running Windows 98. And apparently my SCSI LED is working too, which wasn't working a second ago. So it looks like it might have just locked up. Okay, here we go. Eventually it should start. This is a very, very, very interesting machine. Alright, looks like this is user 103's computer, so let's go ahead and log in as user 103. Whoops. Warning, your computer may have a virus. Oh yeah, there may be a lot of viruses on here. Look at this, LimeWire is installed. Oh wow, well I hope I didn't infect my other hard drive by doing that, but oh well, if I did all that work once, I can do it again. There's a lot of stuff on here, wow. Norton Protected Recycle Bin, wow. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff on here. I'm not really sure what modified the master boot record, but it seems to be okay. And here's the disk. No connection to the internet. I'll get out of here. Properties. 7.49 gigabytes of used space? Holy crap. Wow, no wonder they got rid of this. Wonder what scanning with Snorton would actually do. That might take forever. Yeah, it's probably going to take forever. Oh, well, it's doing something. We'll see. Maybe I'll let it do that. Alright, so in order to extract the data from the SCSI hard drive, we are now booting Linux, because, as it so helpfully turns out, Windows 98's USB stack is less than useless, which isn't a surprise. Just about everything else in Windows 98 is also less than useless. Have I ever mentioned that I dislike Windows 98 as an operating system? Oh, it's a terrible, terrible operating system. But anyways, doesn't matter. Mostly Microsoft promises that didn't actually become true at all. So we're going to do that, and we're going to try offloading stuff from USB, or offloading stuff from that drive via USB, which is probably only USB 1.1, which is going to be ridiculously slow. Of course, that's also assuming that the system is even going to boot, which it seems to be taking forever to do as well. But we've got a mouse cursor now, so that's at least doing its one job. This is turning into quite the spectacle. And now we are engaging in the very long process of copying everything that is in the My Documents folder. The USB drive I chose is kind of a piece of crap, but it's the one that was empty. So, there you go. Okay, so a significant while later, the copy process has succeeded completely. And now we are going to try something else. We're actually going to try duplicating the 1 gigabyte drive on here, moving it over to that. I could probably do this without having to use the terminal, but I'm going to do this the terminal way, and we'll see if that works. I'm not going to use DD because DD is slow. I'm going to try the cat command and see if the cat command will actually do what I want it to do. I don't know yet. Make your life easy. Yeah, right. Well, this sucks. I'm having to resort to using a DOS-based tool in order to do this. And not a disk cloning tool, but a disk imaging tool. So this might get a little bit more interesting, depending upon how this whole process works. Because I don't think I could just flat out take the image, which I'm storing on the SCSI drive, and image it to the SCSI drive. I don't think that would work. And I can't store it on the C drive, because that won't work either. There's not enough space for it. So I think I'm going to have to involve another drive, which I've got sitting right here. Just a random drive from my parts bin. I'm going to have to copy the image over to that, and then I can image the drive over to the SCSI disk the way that it should be. But this is really starting to get a little, shall we say, odd. And the computer's obviously going to also complain when I turn it on, because I'll have to reconfigure the damn system options, because that's going to suck, really. But I can do it. So we'll see. Hopefully this all works out in the end, because I want to use that SCSI drive as opposed to having the IDE drive in there. Well, it doesn't really matter either way. I've got the SCSI board in here, so I want to use the SCSI drive. But if I can't use the SCSI drive, well then I guess I just can't use the SCSI drive. Alright, files are copied. I don't remember which disc it is that I need, but I'm assuming that it is this one. We'll throw that disc in there. Go over to our lovely PS2 IBM keyboard. Control-Alt-Delete for a 3-finger salute. Wait for the system to boot up, which will probably take forever freaking ever. And then we can try and copy that stupid image, or restore that image, to the SCSI hard drive. And hopefully this is going to work. Of course, it's also got to reset the SCSI adapter. I don't know why it's going to do that. I think it's because, well, I know why it's doing it. It's because I've got the setting for resetting PCI devices turned on, but I don't know if that's necessary or not. Of course, I could always turn it off and see what happens, but I don't want to break the computer. After all, it is working so well. Okay, 0 for a clean boot. I don't need USB. And actually, the USB won't even work, because it just bricks the computer. Forces me to reboot it. That sound is music to my ears. And unlike Clonezilla, this doesn't kernel panic. That's a much needed bonus. Alright. So we got an 80H. Interesting. We've only got oh, that's because I unplugged the other IDE drive, so I could plug that one in. Okay. So, we will Control R. I could press Control R. Or maybe not. Load image file. Add. Should be on local disk E. Add that. And then we've also going to add the other file. Everything else should be alright. I'm not going to change it. Restore it to that. To continue, type restore, case sensitive. Oops. Alright. Everything should be erased on device 81H. That is what I want. Proceed. And that's not good. Why is it erroring? That's interesting. That's going to take a long time. Hopefully it doesn't actually take that long. Okay, so obviously I have resorted to installing Windows 98 from scratch because I think that that is going to take the least amount of time and it is going to make me the least irritated. Because I'm starting to get a little bit tired of running round and round with disk cloning software and disk cloning commands that are just frankly not working. So we're going to do it this way. And hopefully it is going to work. But, given that it is almost 2 o'clock in the morning, it probably will not. And I'm not quite sure why the camera keeps zooming out, because it's in focus. Hope I'm not going to have to use more than one tape for this. That's very musical. I bet you could make music out of that. getting really early in the morning, and I need to be awake tomorrow, so this could be a little bit of a problem. There's really no excuse that it's taken this long, other than the fact that, well, it's Windows 98. Not really a surprise when you consider that. And after a fair amount of dilly-dallying, this is actually working. Previously, I think I mentioned this in one of the other videos, it was freezing on the programs on the start menu, and apparently copying all of the files from the CD-ROM. Look at that black hole over here. There's no lighting in this side of the room, and I don't really know. Actually, I do know why that is. You can see the lights up there, and it's being blocked by all of that stuff. But anyways, I'm sure that roll of toilet paper is going to get a bunch of comments, but I won't talk about it because it's not really the subject of the video. If the camera doesn't zoom wildly out of focus, we can see that well, this is actually working. Not very well. It's on the slow side, but it is actually doing something. I'll have to find my Windows 98 Plus disk again, because I don't know where that went. I think it's in this pile of junk here. Yep, here it is. So I can easily get that installed, and that shouldn't take too long. So this will probably be done before 4 o'clock. I'm very hopeful that that will be the case. Doggone it, Windows 98. That is the sound that we want to hear. I am going to need to install the correct video driver when the desktop finally loads, which is taking forever. Hope it does load. Oh, that would be my luck. It doesn't actually load. Oh, there we go. It's doing something. It's running a whole bunch of update scripts that it doesn't need to run. Now it's updating system settings again. I swear, Windows 98 is slower than molasses on a good day. Whoa. I wasn't expecting that. And it won't let me close it. Shut up. Thank you. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. People are trying to sleep. I'm going to mute the audio. I think that's a plan. Yep, that's a plan. Alright. So I'm going to install the correct driver for this thing. And then I'll put it all back together. And it'll be done with that. I may wait to install Plus. I'll do it tonight. Why not? Since I'm already awake. Might as well just do it. Alright. Case cover is installed. Turn that light off. I was using it to deal with a couple of things in the system. So we can now get an idea. You can see the Ethernet light as well. There's not really enough light here for it to focus. Hopefully everything's working. I'm not sure yet if the driver installed correctly or not. Suppose I'll find out in just a minute. Alright, so this is not allowed to show up. And we will change our properties here. Yep. We'll go as high as we can. 1024 by 768, 256 colors. I'll have to add some, Really? I have to reboot in order to get that? How annoying. At least it's only a quick reboot. Should be suitable. plus disk here while I'm doing this. Well, it is doing this. I'm going to install the plus pack. Yep, there we go. That's just what I like to see. Correct color depth and everything. Although I probably should add a little bit of video memory to it. Alright, what is the system going to do? Not much. Should know that I've got the plus thing here. Here we go. Still plus. Next, the only thing I don't want that's on the plus pack. Oh, I need the CD key. Actually, you don't really need a CD key. I don't remember what it is. I've got the CD key, but you can just type in a bunch of ones, and it'll work fine. Don't need to scan the system for viruses. We'll go for custom. And the only thing that we are going to uncheck is the virus scan. I don't want McLaffey on here. Oops. Oh, right. Okay. And so there we go. And we're almost out of tape here. Alright, and we are now back exactly where we were before. So I think at this point I'm going to close the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. It took a while. This was only supposed to be a hardware overview video, but it turned into more than that. This is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Till then. And we are done before 4 o'clock. And the focus is gone. Not enough light for it.